So hello students. Now I'll continue with my session of the internal features of the medulla oblongata. So we will now be discussing the transverse section at the level of olives. The olives are the prominences between the anterolateral and the posterolateral fissure produced by the inferior olivary nuclear complex. So what are the features which you will see at this level? You will see the floor of the fourth ventricle, which is lined by the gray matter. So this all is the gray matter is now opened up, and this whole is the white matter. So it is the white matter is occupied by the reticular formation. Then the gray matter, it is occupied by the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. From medial to lateral, we have hypoglossal nerve. Beneath the hypoglossal triangle, we have dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus beneath the vagal triangle. Then we have vestibular nuclei beneath the vestibular area. Then we have spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. We have nucleus tractus solitarius. And we have nucleus ambiguus situated close to this spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. And we have the cochlear nuclei, the dorsal and the ventral cochlear nuclei. The dorsal forming the auditory tubercle. Then the white matter, it consists of the corticospinal fibers forming the pyramids with the arcuate nuclei capping it. Then from ventral to dorsal side, we have medial lemniscus carrying the conscious proprioception and discriminative touch coming from the dorsal column. Then the tectospinal fibers uh, uh, governing your head and neck movement along with your eye movement. Then so visual spinal reflexes, and this one is the medial and the medial longitudinal fasciculus. Then we have apart from this, we have inferior olivary nuclear complex along with the medial and the dorsal accessory olivary nucleus, and the extrapyramidal tracts, the rubrospinal tract and the vestibulospinal tracts. And apart from this, we have the anterior and the lateral spinothalamic tract carrying the crude touch and the temperature sensation, which will be forming the spinal lemniscus at the higher level. uh, then we have the ventral spinocerebellar and the dorsal spinocerebellar tracts, and we have the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So these are the features which you will see at the level of the olives. Now over here you will see, because it is consists of the open part, so our gray column, it is now opened up like a book. So this was the medial was from the basal plate, the lateral one from the alar plate. So lateral part will be the sensory nuclei, the medial part will be the motor nuclei. Then because of the uh, fibers, the corticospinal fibers are bundling, they are aggregating on the anterior side, and the internal arcuate fibers, they are forming the medial longitude, the medial lemniscus, and other white fibers are also there. So they will also push the gray matter dorsally. And so most of the ventral part, it is occupied at this level by the white matter or the tracts, except the inferior olivary nuclear complex and the nucleus ambiguus and the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. So we have divided it into three parts for our convenience. We have divided it into the medial part, which is lying beneath the pyramids. We have and the intermediate part, which is lying beneath the olives, and the lateralmost part, which is lying beneath the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Right. So the medial part, it consists of ventrodorsally from the medial lemniscus, the tectospinal tract, and the medial longitudinal fasciculus, along with the pyramids capped by the arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus are also the displaced pontine nucleus, giving rise to the circumolivary fibers. Then is the intermediate part, excuse me, occupied by the inferior olivary nuclear complex. The inferior olivary nucleus complex, apart from the principal olivary nucleus, it has got dorsal accessory nucleus and the medial accessory nucleus. Then apart from this, we have the extrapyramidal fibers, the rubrospinal and the vestibulospinal tract, the reticular formation, and the nucleus ambiguus in this area. Then the lateral part, it is made up of inferior cerebellar peduncle with a pontobulbar body. Then we have the dorsal and the ventral cochlear nucleus, we have the vestibular nucleus, the medial and the ventral vestibular nucleus. Then we have uh, the nucleus tractus solitarius and the dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus. And nucleus ambiguus is sometimes considered into the intermediate or on the lateral part. Then we also have a inferior salivatory nuclear complex as well. So firstly, we'll be discussing the inferior olivary nuclear complex. So inferior olivary nuclear complex is a group of, this is a pre-cerebellar group of nucleus, and the largest is the principal olivary nucleus, which is having a crumpled back appearance. This is having its open end on the medial side and the closed end on the lateral side. Apart from it, it has got a medial, a dorsal and a medial accessory nucleus, a dorsal and the medial accessory nucleus. Now you can have a better look. This one is the medial accessory and this one is the dorsal accessory nucleus. Then the afferents are coming from the contralateral dorsal horns of all the level of the spinal cord. So since it is a displaced pontine nucleus, so it is receiving the afferents from the sensory fibers from the dorsal motor, dorsal root ganglia, from the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. And the efferents, all the fibers, they will combine and they will go to the inferior cerebellar peduncle. They will form the climbing fibers from the principal olivary nucleus, and the accessory olivary nucleus, they will give rise to the parolivocerebellar fibers. Now, the main function of this olivary nuclear complex is to produce coordination of the learned patterns of your movement, so that if you have learned to write nicely, so in a, so that you can write in a well coordinated manner, this is remembered by these climbing fibers, right? You will read about it in detail in cerebellum. Then the pontobulbar body. Now the pontobulbar body, it is present in the lateral part. So intermediate part, the most important part which was new over here was the inferior olivary nuclear complex, which I have discussed, right? Then there was pontobulbar body, which was in the lateral part. So this is also a displaced nuclei pontis, and the afferents are coming from the are the corticopontine fibers coming from the arcuate nucleus as circumolivary fibers, right? So they will again unite with the medullary stria fibers, and they will give their efferents to the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Now there are, over here you can have a better look. This one is the pontobulbar body. Now the connections of the inferior olivary nuclear complex. So the inferior olivary nuclear complex, it is receiving its afferents from the cerebellar cortex. So corticopontine fibers, they are coming into its ventral lamellae. So it is divided into a ventral and a dorsal side. So ventral lamellae and the dorsal lamellae. So the corticopontine fibers will terminate into the ventral lamellae. The extrapyramidal fibers coming from the periaqueductal gray matter and the red nucleus will terminate into its dorsal lamellae. Along with the central tegmental fibers, they will also terminate into the medial accessory nucleus and the dorsal accessory nucleus. Then the spino-olivary fibers, they will also terminate into the dorsal lamellae of the inferior olivary nuclear complex along with the medial accessory nucleus. All the fibers, they will unite, they will from the principal olivary nucleus, they will form the climbing fibers, they will terminate into the cerebellum, and some of the fibers, they will also go to the spinal cord as a olivospinal tracts. Now the blood supply of the medulla oblongata. So there are two vertebral arteries which is providing its arterial supply to the medulla. Then the anterior and the posterior spinal arteries. Then anterior and the posterior inferior cerebellar arteries. So posterior inferior cerebellar artery is also known as pica, and its blood supply is important. So thrombosis of any of this artery will produce certain constellation of the features, certain constellation of features. So we have divided according to its thrombosis into two syndromes. If the medial part of medulla is involved or the lateral part of the medulla is involved. So firstly, the medial medullary syndrome. Sorry. So in the medial medullary syndrome, the medial part of the medulla oblongata, which is supplied by the vertebral artery, it get thrombosed. If the vertebral artery get thrombosed, then this area will be affected. So what are the features which are present in this medial part? So mainly the corticospinal fibers, they will be affected. The medial lemniscus will be affected. Artectospinal fibers will be affected, and MLF might be spared. And the nucleus, the gray matter which will be involved with, will be the hypoglossal nucleus. So because of the pyramidal tract, they are being affected. So there will be contralateral hemiparesis. Why contralateral? Because there will be decussation of the fibers at the level of pyramid. They will cross to the opposite side. So that is why hemiparesis of the opposite side. Then the contralateral impaired position and movement and tactile discrimination because of the medial lemniscus. If you remember, there was also sensory decussation. So that is why contralateral loss of the uh, tactile discrimination. Then ipsilateral paralysis of the tongue muscles with the deviation of the paralyzed side when tongue is protruded because of the hypoglossal nerve or the hypoglossal nucleus, it is being involved. The nucleus over here, you can see it is spared. Sometimes it may be involved, but the nerve is mainly involved over here since it is coming out from the ventral side of the medulla. So this is the medial medullary syndrome. Then is the lateral medullary syndrome. It is also known as Wallenberg syndrome or the pica syndrome because it is supplied by the lateral part is supplied by the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, which is also a branch of the vertebral artery. Its thrombosis will produce dysphagia and dysarthria because of the paralysis of nucleus ambiguus, which was situated close to the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, as was supplying the pharyngeal constrictors and the laryngeal muscles through the uh, pharyngeal nerve plexus. Then there will be analgesia and thermoanesthesia of ipsilateral side of face because of the involvement of spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve with its tract. Then because of the involvement of the vestibular nuclei, which is situated over here, so the patient will also uh, experience vertigo, nausea, vomiting, and there will be nystagmus. Then there will be ipsilateral Horner syndrome because of the descending sympathetic fibers and the reticular activating system being involved. Then there is ipsilateral cerebellar signs because of the gait and the limb. It will produce the gait and the limb ataxia because of the involvement of inferior cerebellar peduncle. And then there will be a loss of contralateral, a loss of pain and temperature because of the involvement of the lateral spinothalamic tract, which will be forming the spinal lemniscus. So above this level, above the olives, we will have medial lemniscus, the spinal lemniscus formed by the lateral spinothalamic tract, and the trigeminal lemniscus formed by the spinal tract of the trigeminal nerve. And also you will see above this level in the pons as the lateral lemniscus forming from the vestibular cochlear complex. So this completes the medulla, the external and the internal features. It is a very important topic, and the lateral medullary syndrome, it is repeatedly asked in your exam. So go through it and prepare it nicely. Any queries, you're most welcome to ask anytime. Thanks a lot.